Why did this Airbus A320 end up in pieces? This is the story of PIA8303. Sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you the scene in this. The Airbus begins rolling down the runway. The aircraft is in good condition with no major technical faults. It is now rolling down the runway, ready for takeoff. The captain slowly begins thinking about lifting the plane in the air. He reaches his V1 airspeed and he begins to rotate. The Airbus A320 is now airborne. The captain now watches as his altitude rises, just as planned, at least for now. The engines are at high power according to the procedures. The aircraft continues rolling down the runway with high speed. The tension is high and catastrophic if even one thing goes wrong. But for now, everything is normal. The captain raises the flaps and calls the positive rate, gear up. The pilots put the gear up and engage the autopilot and set their initial cruise level of 23,000 feet. The aircraft begins climbing to 23,000 feet. The aircraft won't even make it to the runway of catastrophe, right? Obviously not. That's what you think from a video title that might sound a bit familiar. You obviously know this. But you're gonna be more surprised than you would ever think. Anyway, let's get back. The aircraft is now climbing. As it climbs, the captain engages the auto throttle and sets the power to climb. The auto throttle responds. Okay, let's talk about the Airbus auto throttle first. When the auto throttle is engaged, it doesn't work with the thrust levers of any power system. You need to set them to the climb intent. The auto throttle obviously will follow and start working, but it won't maintain climb thrust. It will engage itself effectively. Because that green light on the auto throttle does not mean it's engaged. You engage it by moving the power to climb and then pushing the button. Obviously you can do that in the opposite. Now, let's continue talking about this crash here. So the aircraft is continuously flying. Nothing is happening. At least nothing bad is happening. The aircraft climbs through 7,300 feet, approaching 10,000. The captain effectively knows nothing about effectively the disaster that's approaching fast on that. It's probably going to be the most disastrous landing ever to be maintained. So the aircraft continues nicely, flying above the skies. It continues to fly. Nothing is wrong, at least right now. Still, no technical faults. Nothing is happening. The plane is climbing nicely, it's normal for now. That's effectively how I can describe this part of the flight. The aircraft is just settling into a normal day of operations, unaware of the captain. That's a good way to describe this approach that's coming up. So now, the plane is just climbing nicely. Let's skip along since this is effectively just a normal cruise flight. We need to skip along to their messed up approach, which went so bad that nobody can even describe it. And remember the Instagram post that I made? Yeah, about this crash. Yeah, the coming soon video. This is the coming soon video. Okay, let's get it. The aircraft is now on final approach. Not final, it's literally on long final. Okay, long final. It's flying nicely. Until the captain notices that they're a bit high. Instead of just, going around or trying to use speed brakes or anything, what he does is unthinkable. He raises the gear and pitches forward. This is absolutely against training. Normally we're trained to either go around or try to use the speed brakes. We're not told to try to pitch forward and raise the gear.
1,000.
Overspeed warnings blared. The aircraft pitching forward now was trying to warn them of the ground quickly approaching. The captain does raise the nose a little, but he needs to get back to the glide slope. The aircraft's automated glide slope system might have activated here, but it didn't. But what did activate is the ground proximity warning system, which began calling terrain, pull up. But it wasn't gonna start calling that now.
500.
Because it can't even do that. That's what you would expect. Terrain, pull up to low gear.
400.
No, the overspeed warning, which was continuously sounding in this cockpit, was over-prioritized by Airbus. The priority is higher than the normal, other types of alarms, like maybe like a generic one. Not like generic, but like normal ones. Like
300.
the sync rate warning. Yup. The overspeed alarm is prioritized over the too low gear warning. Airbus, please fix your specialties. Anyway, the aircraft now is calling overspeed. And the landing gear lever does light up red, which is the only sign. The captain is effectively relentless on his approach. He needs to land his aircraft. And everybody's now probably screaming at their monitors saying,
20.
why didn't he go around?
Retard.
Well, this is probably due to technical. The aircraft hits down, and for 11 agonizing seconds, the engines scrape. The captain tries to deploy the thrust reversers and hits the brakes. But none of those work. The aircraft comes back into the air, but the engines have been totally destroyed. Engine 2 and Engine 1 oil pressure warnings are going off. The engines are technically running, but the generators are failing. The ram air turbine quickly falls. It's moments after they lift. They did lower the gear when a sudden too low gear warning came on. But the gear level was very quickly raised, but the aircraft's gear didn't even come into us. Start coming out. Just stayed in the slot. So now they had a situation on their hands. They had a huge problem with their aircraft and quick problems with their engines. Now you might see a clip where when I try to recreate the engine problems, the plane spins back over it. So try to use that again with autopilot on. So don't worry about that clip. That clip is just me dying. There we go. This should be the clip. Okay. This should be the clip where everything goes catastrophically wrong. But not in real life, obviously. In my flight simulator recreation, which is bad. Okay, now I'm gonna respawn. There we go. Just change a bit of settings. Don't worry about the skibbity tech thing that came up. That's just a YouTube notification that I hate. Okay. Now let's get in. The number 2 engine has failed. The captain engages continuous ignition on the remaining engine to try to keep it running. But it's too damaged. Oil is now gushing out at a rate of almost 2 kilograms per minute. The instruments go black for a second, at least on the captain's side, before they come back into the quick generator swap that has to occur. The ram air turbine, or RAT, is now out, and it's the only source of power with the number 1 generator that is working. Now the only thing that's left is the number 1 engine. The number 1 engine is now holding all the load from the aerodynamics. There's nothing left. All that's left is the aircraft's forward momentum that is quickly reducing, even with the number 1 engine. And suddenly, that fails too. Alarms blare, the autopilot disconnects. Now, the aircraft is now powerless. Now, the captain is flying manually with no power from his engines. Guys, if you see any lag, don't worry, that's just my iPad. Okay? Don't worry, I'll fix it later. Okay, now let's continue. The aircraft's stall alarm goes off and the captain calls out, "How will I increase speed?" The first officer responds with, "Pitch forward." Everybody is now silent. The aircraft now begins trying to turn back as alarms blare. The plane is now trying to turn back to the airport, but it has no chance. It's way too low. All due to one approach. The aircraft now is heading for a residential home. Racing has a descent rate of 2,506 feet a minute. The aircraft's race is complete. Done. Now it has no power, no electrics, and now it is about to head for a crash. By the way, for all the people who are asking, what is this fake? It's just recreating stuff in the flight sim? No, this is real story. Anyway, the aircraft now begins heading towards the city. Now, one home is its target. The aircraft is now blowing too low terrain, and now it hits the ground. Bye guys, I hope the quality is good. Bye.